In the last lesson, we have explored the GET request, and now we're going to implement the POST request. So let's go to the Wheel Studio, and this time I'm gonna add another method, but this will be a POST method. And this POST method will basically used to create the record for songs. So what I'm gonna do is, I'll add a method of type void and name it POST. This method is used to add a record, and therefore we need to specify the full object of this song class as a parameter. Alright, I'm gonna pass the object of song class here. This method don't need to return anything, so that's why I have set the return type of this function to void. And now we're going to add this song inside the songs list. So to add the song in this songs list, we need to call the helper method of this songs list, and that is add. This add method is a built-in helper method which comes from the C# list, and it's used to add the record inside the list. Okay, then pass this song object here. Right after that, we're going to add the HTTP post attribute on top of this method, because when we'll send the request to this method via Postman, then we need to tell the request to call this particular method. Also, please make sure to set this list to static so that we can share a single copy of this list throughout this controller. Now the question is, how to pass the data to this song object? Well, that's a good point, because earlier when we sent a GET request to this method via API/songs, then we got that list of songs in JSON format. But this time, instead of getting the songs from this list, we have to add the song inside this list. But now the question is, from where we can to add the song, because in the browser it's not possible to send a POST request directly. So let's open the Postman and let's run this application. Once we open the Postman, then we're going to copy our web app URL and paste it here. Now along with this URL, just add API/songs, which is the name of our controller. This time we are working with the POST request. So instead of HTTP verb get, let's change it to POST. Earlier when we worked with the get method, then we got the data in the JSON format. Now we're going to add the data. It means this time we need to pass the data in the JSON format. So just select this body tab, because we're going to pass the data to our web API in the JSON format. So let's select JSON. Now the interesting thing is that, how is it possible to pass the data from this body section to the POST method that we have written in the controller class? Well, in order to get the data from this body, we have to tell the POST method that kindly get that song data from the body of this request. So let's stop this execution, and then I'm gonna add the from body attribute along with this song object. Now let's run this application again. And in the Postman, I'm gonna write some JSON data here. Well, that's the syntax of JSON or JavaScript object notation. Everything goes in the curly brackets. Let's add some JSON data here. In the JSON, we basically deals with the key value pair. Anything on the left hand side is the key, and anything on the right hand side is the value. We have these properties in our song class. So let's add the ID key and set its value. And in order to write some other data, we need a comma separator. And then just write the key, that is title, and set the value. Similarly, add language and again set its value. So far so good. Now in order to send a request, let's add a breakpoint with this POST method. And then from the Postman, let's issue a POST request. And soon the breakpoint will be triggered, and you'll see that anything that we have provided in the body of this request will go to this song object. Let's continue our request, and here we go. Now in order to check whether this song has been added to our list, let's call the GET request. And this time, we'll get this song. Remember one thing, this song has been added to this list temporarily. Let me show you what I'm trying to say. So if I stop this execution and again run this and send a GET request, then this time you'll see that we don't get a third song record, and that's because the newly created song is only available as far as we remain active in this application. Once we stop this application, the newly created song will no longer be available because we don't have any database to store the record. Don't worry, because we'll use the database as we move forward in this course. But right now we need to understand the basics of APIs so that we can pick the advanced concepts easily. So far we have implemented two methods. The one is GET and the second is POST. Now it's time to explore the PUT request.